Welcome back. It's Tuesday, March 21st in the NBA. My 5 favorite picks are on the way. Today, though, we have a special guest, and I think you know who it is. Get out those brooms, because it's here. A 3-0 sweep yesterday. We will take that. Klay Thompson easily goes over 21.5 points. RJ Barrett soars under 19.5 points in our Bulls and Sixers. Same game parlay, bankroll builder, cashes as well. We will certainly take that. The luck bounced our way. We'll take that 3-0 sweep. Hopefully, we'll help you guys out. Day 1 of the ladder challenge will begin later on today. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. And if you are new, my name's Austin. Welcome to the Call in Our Shot channel. Go down below. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, drop a like too. Let's have a great Tuesday and let's keep it moving. Now, today's video, we're going to talk about PrizePicks a little bit later on today, but it's a great place to make some money and bet those player props. And since it's Tuesday, they're going to reduce some lines. They're going to give them out to these Taco Tuesday plays, if you will. And maybe you like Kawhi Leonard's tonight over 28.5 points. They might reduce it down to 23.5. So I'm going to take advantage of one of those reduced lines on PrizePicks. I'm going to post an entry later on today. It'll be in the pinned comment, but also on our Twitter later this afternoon once those come live. And of course, the best part about PrizePicks is if you sign up using our code COS or the top link in the description, you get a 100% deposit match up to $100. So if you want to tail me in my entry, it'll be live a little bit later on today in that pinned comment and also on our Twitter later on this afternoon once we get those reduced lines this afternoon. But either way, let's keep this hot streak. Hopefully, let's get this hot streak going today. Let's keep it going. And we're starting with the best bet of the day, which is back. And it's a guy we love on the channel. It's Mikal Bridges. I like his over 23.5 points, minus 120 on DraftKings. Now, I don't anticipate this line going any higher than 24.5, and that's probably as high as I would play it. And if you got 24.5, full send that at 1.5 units. It's our best bet of the day. Mikal has been really, really nice to us recently, and hopefully he's nice to us again. If it goes up to 25.5, potentially on FanDuel, just take his 25 plus points there. Now, let's talk about Bridges, though, because over the last 2 games, you took this line. Boom, you're 0-2 because he's under in 2 straight, and he scored 23 points on the dot in both games. Now, one of the games against Sacramento, that game was a combined score of, I think, the Nets only scored 96 points. He scored 23. Didn't have a great game. The other game was a game against Denver. He scored 23 points. Didn't even play in the fourth quarter. He got benched. And while some people are going to say, I hate Jacques Vaughn, I understand why he got benched in that game. The Nets were down 20 points coming into the fourth. The bench unit came in, played really well, cut the deficit to only like 8 points, and that's why he kept them in. But I don't see that happen today. I find it very unlikely that he gets benched again. And the Nets, only 2.5 point underdogs here. And at the moment, 95% of the bets are going to be on Cavaliers minus 2.5. Well, I'm not saying fade the public. The Cavs have not been a very good road team. So if this is a higher scoring game, which I'm not banking on 240 points being scored here, but I do think that the Nets can keep this one close, and I really don't see them keeping it close unless Mikal's not playing pretty well. So we look at Bridges. He's played really well against very good defenses. The Cavs are a good defense. We saw him score 45 versus Miami, 34 versus OKC. He had 21 versus the Knicks and didn't play in the fourth quarter in that game. Scored 38 versus Boston. So he's been really good, to say the least, and he's been really good against the good defenses, because when the good defenses come out, guys like Claxton, guys like Cameron Johnson, guys like Spencer Dinwiddie aren't necessarily scoring as much. The bench isn't scoring. They need Mikal Bridges to go out there and shoot a little bit more. And like I said, last game, he only scored 23 points against Denver. Didn't play in the fourth quarter, and he didn't do anything in the first. He was 0 for 4, scored only 2 points in the first quarter. So he scored 21 points in the second and third. If he plays his normal minutes tonight, doesn't get randomly benched, he's going to play 36 to 40 minutes. He's going to play a ton, and Bridges is over this line in 16 of his last 25 games with 15 or more shot attempts, but he's over this line in 9 of 12 with Brooklyn when he shoots above 15 times. I don't see a world where he doesn't shoot at least 15 times tonight, and of his 3 misses with Brooklyn, all 3 came with 23 points on the dot. So he's getting really, really close to this line. I know Cleveland has a good defense, but how do you beat them? You beat them in the mid-range, beat them on the three-pointers. That's what Bridges does. He's been getting to the free throw line, which he can do too, but I just think he's going to have to put the Nets on his back here. Got benched last game. Really find it unlikely that he gets benched 2 games in a row, and I don't see them getting blown out here. I think the Nets are a very good might be a stretch, but a very decent home team. They've been very good lately. I think they step up, although losing 3 straight. I think the Nets ride with Mikal Bridges tonight. Take his over 23.5 points as our best bet of the day. 1.5 units, my favorite play. Bridges, we love you, man. Let's keep it moving. We got 2 more straight plays. We got a bankroll builder, and we got some more action coming your way. And it's going to be a guy that a lot of people don't like. It's Josh Giddey. I like his over 30.5 points, rebounds, and assists, minus 105 on Barstool. Line in the sand. This is a big Giddey game, and I'm going to talk about why. If you only have individual line, like his points over, like his assists over at 5.5. Now, Giddey enters this game with a lot of people hating on him. He didn't do great, whatever. He screwed our ladder challenge last time, but it wasn't him necessarily. He just didn't get the assists. But I think today he's in line for a big game. Now, he enters coming off 2 bad games, if you will. One was versus Phoenix, 28 PRAs. Another versus Toronto, 21 PRAs. Now, those are really 2 hard defenses. The Suns haven't been giving up a lot of points in the paint, and the Raptors are obviously a team that really hounds people, really doesn't let people drive. And we look at Giddey. Today's got a great match against Clippers, who have allowed the 8th most points per game in the paint over the last 10 games. Now, Giddey, I love him. doesn't really shoot threes all too well. He shoots maybe 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 threes, but he's not really, that's not what he's known for. He gets it in the paint, and that's where he dishes it to his teammates, or he lays it up or gets some offensive rebounds, and that's what he does. And I think this is a great matchup for him today because the Clippers are playing 48 minutes of Mason Plumlee and Ivica Zubac. So they got a big center out there that really can't move their feet all too well, and that's great for Giddey, who does basically all his damage in the pick and roll. They're gonna have people like Dario Saric setting picks for him, guys like Jalen Williams. Which one? Your guess is as good as mine, but it's the one with L-I-N, Jalen Williams. But at the end of the day, it's the guy that's going to be in that pick and roll, going to get some advantage, going to have a full head of steam going into the paint, and I think he can lay it in, dish it to his teammates. He can do everything today, and we've seen him play well against the Clippers. His last game against them only had 8 points, but at 18 rebounds and 10 assists. We know he can fill up the stat sheet. His triple-double is about plus 1,500. I think that's worth a long shot, and that was, granted, that was all the way back in December of 2021 in his rookie season. So look at Giddey over this line in 14 of his last 25 games with SGA active. SGA is going to get a lot of attention from guys like Kawhi Leonard, guys like Paul George. I don't think Giddey gets guarded by either of those two guys. And even if he does, he's going to set so many screens. He's going to be able to get to attack the hoop. And we look at the end of the day, they're not going to make him guard anyone on defense. They're not going to put him on Kawhi Leonard. Not going to put him on Paul George. Not even going to probably put him on Russell Westbrook. He's likely guard to Marcus Morris or Eric Gordon when he comes off the bench, or even Terrence Mann. So I don't think a guy like Giddey, who can potentially get into foul trouble, I don't think that happens today. I think this is a big day. I think it's a higher scoring game. I think Giddey's going to carry that second unit. He's going to have a big night after a couple duds. Give me his over 30.5 PRAs. I think he fills up the stat sheet, potentially gets us 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, or at least 10 of one of the stat categories. I love Giddey. We'll be riding with him today. Now let's move on to my third play of the day. It's going to be an under, and it's an under I really do like. It's Clint Capela of the Atlanta Hawks, under 23.5 points plus rebounds, minus 111 on FanDuel. Now you can take this at 22.5 if it goes down to that. You could also pivot to his under in PRAs, because let's be honest, Capela's really not getting a lot of assists. He maybe gets 1, sometimes he gets 2 or 3, but very unlikely. And if you need an individual line, I lean is under 11.5 rebounds, but I like the points plus rebounds, or maybe taking a no for a double-double. I think that's a little bit better. Now let's talk about Capela though, because if you took this under last game, you got smoked. He had a great game versus the San Antonio Spurs, played 28 minutes, 15 points, 12 rebounds, 27 points plus rebounds. But look, you got to take advantage of that matchup. It's almost like playing a middle school team at this rate for Capela. I mean, over the last 7 games, Spurs, 2nd most points per game, 5th most rebounds per game to center. So look, I'm proud of you, Capela. You took advantage of a very good matchup. You needed to do that, because if you didn't do that, your line would be probably about 18.5, 19.5 today. But I'm glad he did, because now he gets to go up against the Pistons. And while Pistons fans, they know their team's not great. They're hoping for Victor Wembanyama. But at the end of the day, this team has not been terrible in terms of the defensive side, and they haven't been terrible in terms of playing against opposing centers. Over the last 7 games, we've seen the Pistons allow the 15th most points per game, 18th most rebounds per game to centers. What does that show? This is a very average matchup for Capela. It's not like a smash spot where he's playing the Spurs. It's a very average matchup in the last 3 games versus Detroit this season. Capela, 16, 16, and 20 points plus rebounds. He's under this line 6 straight games versus Detroit. Now, yes, Capela randomly can come off for a 20-point, 20-rebound game. It's going to happen randomly, but looking at the statistics, this isn't a great matchup for him. It's very average. He's going to have to be responsible for guarding James Wiseman or Marvin Bagley, 2 lefties, so not necessarily a guy that he's normally used to guard righties, but 2 lefties that are just going to attack the hoop, maybe get him into foul trouble, but also guys that can stretch the floor, can knock down jump shots, pull Capela away from the rim. And Capela is under this line in 6 of his last 7. Under this line in 14 of his last 20 games overall. With Quinn Snyder, people expected a minutes boost. No, that really hasn't happened. He's played like 21 or 22 minutes in several of these games. So not only that, Capela doesn't have much of an offensive game. This feels like a roast session of Capela, but he kind of needs things spoon-fed to him. So Trae Young's great at spoon-feeding it, throwing lobs to him and whatnot. But DeJounte Murray, another great passer, facilitator, he's questionable with an illness. So if DeJounte Murray's out, I'm going to put another guy that's really more of a shooter in the offensive lineup. And so just look at the Hawks. They also play tomorrow. They're a 13-point favorite. So they play tomorrow, so his minutes could be reduced as they play tomorrow against the Timberwolves. This could be a blowout where Capela won't see a lot of minutes. This could be a close game where Capela's not playing the end of the minutes, and this could just not be a good game from Capela because it's not the best matchup in the world. So all these things combined, 1 could happen, 2 could happen, all of them could happen. All we really need is one of those to happen, and Capela likely goes under. So we'll fade Capela as my under of the day. I'm taking this under 23.5 points plus rebounds. Like I said, individual line, lean it's under 11.5 rebounds, but really like the combo of both. Don't mind it if you want to take a no for a double-double. Wouldn't call you crazy there. I think that's a decent one. So let's move on to our 4th play, and then our 5th play will be in a second, but it's going to be the bankroll builder, which we've done really, really well on these, and it's going to Orlando for the Wizards versus Magic, and we're going to take this one. Now, this is not day 1 of the ladder challenge. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but I will post that a little bit later. But let's talk about that in a second. let's talk about these four guys. 3 guys, 4 legs. Bradley Beal, 20 plus points. Kristaps Porzingis, 20 plus points. And Markelle Fultz to get 10 plus points and 4 plus assists. Now, this is plus 113 on FanDuel. 4 leg, same game parlay. We're only putting 1 unit on it. Now, if I didn't mention, we're putting 1 unit on Capela, 1 unit on Giddey, 1 unit on this, and then 1.5 units on the first play for Mr. Mikal Bridges. But let's talk about this. If you have maybe Markelle Fultz for 12 plus points, you got my sign of approval. Now, if you only have Fultz for 5 plus assists, you don't have my sign of approval. I probably wouldn't take 5 assists. He loves ending on 4. Now, granted, I think he can get more than 4, but I just probably want to take it. Now, DraftKings has the only options for 2 and 5 as I record this, but sometimes they put up options for like over 3.5, over 4.5, over 5.5. So hopefully you get an over 3.5. If not, you can add additional leg or just take the top 3 legs and roll with that. Now, why do we like these 3 legs? Well, for starters, I think this game is close. I think it's a higher scoring game. I don't think the Magic really care about playing a whole lot of defense these days. They're just kind of out there playing for fun. They don't really have a lot to play for these days. They're kind of, if they could lose some games, they probably would. Now, let's talk about Fultz, though. We'll start with him. Now, he gets 10 plus points in 8 straight. 4 plus assists in 11 straight games. And Jalen Suggs, one of their backup point guards, the guy that was starting in their lineup recently, is out with a concussion. So we've seen Fultz seeing more minutes, and he's done well against the Wizards. In his last 3 games against them, he's had 23 points and 8 assists, 12 points, 6 assists, and 19 points and 7 assists. So obviously a very good track record against this. All 3 of those games he played less than 30 minutes. Today he likely sees more than that. He was seeing 33, 34, 35 minutes without Jalen Suggs over the past couple games. So I think that we'll see Markelle Fultz out there for a good amount of time. 10 points, I think he can get that. 4 assists, I think he can get that as well. Now, as for Beal and Kristaps, let's talk about them. Now, the big news here, Kyle Kuzma is out, and the Wizards are an 11 seed. So the Wizards are trying to get into that play-in game, and this is really a must-win game for them all the way down the stretch. Now, let's talk about Kristaps first. He scored 20-plus points in 12 of 18 games without Kuzma. Granted, some of those were last year. He scored 20-plus points in 8 of his last 10. So been good recently without Kuzma. The shots are going to go to Kristaps. Shots are going to go to Beal. And we've seen Kristaps also play well against Orlando. 35, 30, and 17 points in his last 3 against them. 17, you might be like, I don't love that. Only played 23 minutes in that game. I look at who's probably going to guard him. Banchero, maybe. If they put Wendell Carter Jr., he still has a size advantage there. We've seen Kristaps be capable of getting to the free throw line. I think he can get 20 points. His regular line is 23.5. That might be a little bit sharp. I think he ends in that 21, 22, 23, 24, 25-ish range. He could go off, but I think he at least gets 20 today. We're right with Kristaps. And as for Bradley Beal, he's our last leg, technically the first leg on the screen, but 20 plus points. He's done that 8 of his last 9. 32 plus points in 4 straight without Kuzma, and 20 plus points in 11 of his last 12 versus Orlando. Look, I think Bradley Beal comes out here, has a big night against this Orlando Magic team that can't really defend him too well. But at the end of the day, like I said, just like Bradley Beal and Kristaps Porzingis, or just like Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan yesterday, but on steroids, because LaVine and DeRozan, they have some supporting guests. They got Vucevic, they got other guys, Kobe White, Derek Jones Jr. even had a decent game. Those guys are going to shoot the ball. The Beal and Kristaps are going to shoot the ball almost every single possession here. They're going to shoot a ton. Corey Kispert will come into the lineup, but like at the end of the day, the ball is going to go through these 2 guys, and they're going to attempt a lot of shots today. So I'll take my chances that one of them just doesn't have a terrible shooting night, and they should get 20 plus points each. And then we're just relying on Markelle Fultz to do his thing. 10 points, 4 assists, plus 113. I'll throw a unit on it. Hope for the best. Now, of course, let's ride with that. Now, just a reminder before we get into pick number 5, reminder about PrizePicks. I'll have my entry up later on today. If you want to sign up, make sure you use code COS or use the link at the top of the description. You get a 100% deposit match up to $100. You can tail my entry, which will be in the pinned comment section down below. I would appreciate it. We love people that sign up using that code. Help support me too. Now, as for pick number 5, this will be our 5th play. It will actually be the ladder challenge. Now, you might be like, what the heck? Well, the ladder challenge will be live around 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So, might already be live by the time you're watching this. I'll talk about that in a second. But I'm also going to put a unit on it. So, a lot of recently, if you don't know what the ladder challenges, we were starting with $10, reinvesting our money, such that if we hit 10 consecutive picks, we'd hit $10,000 after 10 days. I'm like a broken record at this point because I've done so many of these videos. But essentially, you do $10. If it won, you'd have $20. Then you do it again, 40, 80, 160, and so on and so forth. However, I want to at least build up. Realistically, very hard to hit 10 straight plays in a row, regardless of what you're doing. So we're going to also put a unit on it. We have a great track record. I haven't gone back to check exactly our record on all of the ladder plays, but we've had a great track record, well above 50%. So we would be making money if we're just putting 1 unit on them, which I know several people out there do that. So we're going to put a unit on it plus the $10 that you'll see in my social media videos on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube shorts, and all that stuff. But of course, we'll put $10 on it to roll up that ladder. But hopefully we can hit some of these days and still build up a couple of units into our bankroll. So we're all winning at the same time. Hopefully that makes sense. But when the ladder challenge is live, it'll be live on the screen. I'll put it up right there. But of course, you can find it on our Instagram, on our YouTube shorts, on Twitter, on TikTok, all those at Calling Our Shot. I love you guys. Have a great Tuesday. We have 5 picks, 5 units on the, well, 5.5 units on the line thanks to Bridges. Let's have a great day. Let's keep this hot streak going. Let's make it a 5-0 sweep. And I will see you guys back again. Same time, same place, Wednesday morning. Have a great Tuesday. See you guys then. Peace. Peace out.